We started relatively small, and I will back up and tell you that if you had asked me 3 years ago if this was an area that I was interested in, it was one of kind of 20 things on my plate, and diversity important, so was human capital planning and development, and it got lost. And it was, we met our metrics, and that was important. I then started working with our employment council and found a passion and a real love of skilled immigrants, and it was from doing some mock interviews and seeing the potential out there is unbelievable. The talent that is there, the engagement and passion for people to want to work with your organization, that actually was my stepping stone into how do we get more involved, how does 3M get more involved in London, and hopefully we will be rolling this out across the country. Now, we don't have nearly as many offices to roll it out to, and we have a lot of sales folks, but there is some opportunities perhaps in Calgary and in Montreal. So we started small, and I started with our high potential employee group, which is a group that for us already wields a fair amount of credibility, and they were the group that I knew would be most passionate, and they have individual development plans that require them to have some kind of mentoring involvement. So we reached out to a group of them. What was important to me at the beginning, though, was to make sure the people involved, it wasn't checking off a box. It was to make sure that they were going to be equally as passionate and involved as I was. And I think earlier on someone mentioned being involved and having that personal experience makes a difference. And it made a difference for me to sell it into this group of individuals. So we started with about 18. And I'll tell you, I went to 50 and we got 18. So that I knew the people who were coming back were people who did want to get involved, and we had some mismatches, and I know we're going to talk about some of the challenges a little later on, but our success was that every single one of those mentors, despite not having all the perfect matches, want to come back and are now advocates. So we've got these ambassadors who are high potential employees who are speaking to other people. I had 2 people a week ago come to me and say, I hear so-and-so was mentoring, how do I get involved? And so now it's going to be managing the program to make sure we do it effectively, because again, I think the risk is that you open it up to everyone and you don't do it efficiently or effectively, and this has to be a learning opportunity for everyone. We did, and Jennifer is out here and will attest to the fact that I went on and on. We were in a hiring freeze we started about a year ago. We're a very flat organization right now, and I said, I cannot guarantee any hires, and I do not want to have that I want to really manage expectations for these individuals, that there is not necessarily a job at the end of this, and most likely there isn't, because we are not hiring right now. Now, I ate all of my words because of saying that. We've hired, we just hired one individual who was someone who I had actually had done a mock interview with and kind of fell in love with. He was from Mexico, had this great supply chain background, was truly a perfect 3M fit for our group, and I called one of the hiring managers in this group and said, you need to meet this fellow and you need to get him in, even if it's on trial. And you know, very positive story, 2 days ago he got hired full time. But it was because of those kind of experiences that I can eat my words, because we've also done it with an engineering fellow who, let me make sure I've got my story right. He was looking for project work to get his PEng, and his mentor said, you know what, I've got 2 different projects that I think you'd be perfect for. He worked on the projects, and again, he was someone that we've just hired. So for me saying that we weren't going to do any hiring, we've hired 3 people, but I do want to stress that cannot be, it cannot be the direction, because that is not a guarantee, and it's not, we are still a flat head count, so turnover doesn't happen when you want it to happen. Mentorship relationships can end, but I would comment to what Terry said on that employment brand, and it's a big part for me of recruitment, is driving that employment brand externally, and we focused way too much on, I would say, what I call the general public, and not focusing on some of the what I would say are stronger candidates out there, which are looking at our employment agencies in various cities and making sure we're reaching out to that area and driving our employment brand. And what mentoring does is spread the word to other people that 3M is a great place to work. You want to be careful who you also have as mentors, because equally you could have people go, oh, not sure I like that relationship. And they're your ambassadors for your company. So getting out there and speaking with, making sure you've got the right people mentoring, I would say, is equally as important.
Okay, Sarah, over to you. What's been happening at 3M in terms of your startup and your experience with that?
You know what, it was, if we hadn't had the LMIC, we would not have started this program. So I can't commend them enough for their support. Deb Villani and Jennifer Hollis are both here today, and they really are the reason why we are existing. They do all the legwork, they do the background work, and it's only coordinated by me internally to make sure that we have the senior management support, and we do have that. Part of it is there's a recognition at 3M that diversity is important, and not unlike, I would think, the City of Calgary, there's probably some work for us to do internally, and it was through ad hoc conversations that in HR we became a little bit more aware that people weren't getting hired because of an accent, and I would say there would be other things, but it would be after the fact to say, oh, I'm not sure, his English wasn't perfect. And I took a huge step back and went, whoa, how is this happening? Because I know these individuals, and these are individuals who I would have said were very open-minded. So we took a big step back and said, we have to address this. One of the best ways for us to do it was through mentoring. And I will tell you that it's easy to put stats. It's easy to say you've got the cab driver who's a doctor. Everyone hears the stories. Until you sit down with someone and hear that really face-to-face, candid story, and it's not, oh, woe is me, it's this is my reality and this is what I'm trying to do to make my life better in Canada. That speaks volumes, and every single person that we've had to date who's gone through the program would say that is the biggest learning they got out of it, and it's why they'll do it again. They were humbled by the experience. They realized they got more out of it than as everyone said, than the mentee got out of it, that they were a little embarrassed because they didn't think they had a lot to offer these individuals because they were so skilled. And so for us, what it's done is open the door to people who, again, I thought were open-minded, but I wasn't aware that there was a stigma there. And language for sure has been the biggest challenge. And mentoring, we've seen it happen, that people are getting over that hurdle.